Hey everyone, it's Dr. Aruna here, and this is Karen, and that's Ian. We're doing another small episode of a video testimonial here. Karen is Ian's mom, and Karen and Ian have been working with me since it's been a few months now. Right?
Yeah, I want to say around June.
Yeah, June, July of 2023, we started to work together.
Yeah.
So Karen, I just wanted, the reason I do these testimonials is to, one, educate people that there is a better way to do psychiatry and mental health, and also so that people can get to see what it is like when you switch to holistic psychiatry, and so appreciate it if you can share your experience. So let's start with the reason that you decided to bring Ian to work with me.
Well, Ian is autistic. He's 34 years old. We've known he was autistic since he was about 15 months old, 24 months old, and have had him in the school system and all that great stuff. I've had him in day programs, so forth and so on, and which was all good. And then finally, he got referred to an occupational therapist, and we worked with her for a while. And at one point she said, there's a conference coming up, and there's a holistic psychiatrist there, and you might want to, listen to what she has to say and make a decision. So I went to the conference and heard you speak, and the things that you said made sense to me. When you're talking about working with people who have neurological disorders, and you're working at the cellular level, that was especially interesting to me. And I had looked into other types of things, but with this one I just sort of said, this sounds like there's something to it. I'd like to at least give it a try. And as you remember, I had to talk my family into it. They weren't as enthusiastic as I was.
Because lack of information, and that's exactly why I love to do testimonials like this. So, because in mainstream psychiatry, you're told that whether it is autism or schizophrenia or anything else in between, it's a chemical imbalance, and you have these set of medications that you need to take, sometimes lifelong, especially for people diagnosed with neurodevelopmental condition like autism.
Yes.
But those medications come with a lot of side effects, and they don't seem to help the problem. And typically we see that you have to keep on increasing the dose of the medication with more and more side effects, or add on more medication, and the side effects just pile up. So that's the usual pathway, and that is what was being offered. What were the symptoms that you were seeing with Ian?
Symptoms, just lack of verbal communication. And as far as we knew, he couldn't speak to us. We couldn't speak to him in a way that he understood for the most part.
And a lot of anxiety as well.
Yeah. He was anxious. And he could follow like 2-step commands or something like that, and past that there was really nothing. So yes, in new situations, a lot of anxiety, that is true. Around other people, not real responsive, not initiating any type of contact with them. If they initiated with him, there was no response from him. He was not really aggressive as such. Some people complain of aggression, but there was no regular type of aggression toward us. But he did have occasions if he got super anxious, and that anxiety went on for a long time, it would build and build and build, and then he would just sort of blow. And when I say blow, I mean he did become aggressive. And so usually by the time we figured out that there were things going on in his life, because he couldn't tell us, there were things going on in his life that were making him anxious, it would just build.
Correct.
like building blocks, stacked them on, and then they would all tumble down. And then once that happened, people were like, well, we don't know if we can get him in this program. He's aggressive, blah, blah, blah. And it would take me a while. When I say a while, I'll talk about maybe a couple months to get him to calm down. To where he wasn't, he wasn't aggressive at all. His trigger words were no. If he heard no, even if I was saying to you, oh no, Dr. Tumala, he would, that was a trigger for him. Didn't matter whether we were talking to him or not. And now,
and also a lot of sensory stimulation. I remember you had those balls that you were constantly using.
Yeah. And he still actually will now request those from time to time. As you can see, he has on these headphones. We didn't use headphones real regularly, but from your suggestion that he listen to alpha waves, that's what he's listening to now.
Very nice.
And he will request them. And I have the Bluetooth attached to my phone. If somehow or another it gets disconnected, he will let me know. I need this back on. So we know that does help him. And the first time I ever used it with him, he went to sleep like that. He just, his whole body relaxed and he went to sleep. So I've just found that a lot of what was recommended, the supplements that you recommended, they help. I can remember asking you how long it would take them to work, and you said, 2 or 3 weeks, and I was like, what? That's a real short period of time. But indeed, I saw it I felt like immediately. And I got feedback from my family who were skeptical.
They were very skeptical.
And they were like, no, we think there's a difference in his behaviors. The different programs that he was in, they didn't know at all what I was doing with him with regard to holistic psychiatry. But they were like, wow, that's the first time we've seen that. He was more attentive. He could sit. One program in particular, they used to have to get up with him and walk around and kind of, do the sensory input type of thing. And then all of a sudden, I'm sure it seemed to them, he would sit and he would listen. And not only would he listen, but he would respond appropriately. And that's real important, because a lot of times he might respond, but it wasn't really appropriate. So
you began to see evidence that he was actually comprehending and responding.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
And his ability to follow directions increased. We had him I put him in a class at the Y, and they had him where, sit on the floor. He's a big guy, so probably wasn't real comfortable, but he sat on the floor, he listened, he followed their directions. We're going to stretch, He stretched. Never saw him do that before. Just real...
very dramatic.
Very dramatic.
And for me, I am not surprised to hear that anymore, because that's what I see. And really, as I explained to you, what I was focused on doing is really understanding what were the core imbalances, physiological imbalances at the tissue level and the cellular level. And as we discussed, it's typically inflammation, mitochondrial dysfunction, nutritional deficiencies also play a big role in it. But it's mainly that gut-brain inflammation and, of course, hepatic detoxification. So these were the things that we were addressing, and typically the way I address these is with diet, the supplements, and the detoxification. And we have different modalities that we do. And you are the one that has to do everything for him, and you have other responsibilities, but whatever input you've given him, predictably, as we anticipated, he's been able to respond. So anxiety is down. It's almost as if his cognitive function is also improving with the things that we're doing.
Yeah. You know, I look at it as not even necessarily, but I'm his mom, so I might be biased. Not that he's getting smarter, but there are things in there that just couldn't get out.
Correct.
Just couldn't. I don't know how to explain it. You know, neurologically things weren't connecting up or whatever. But it's always been there for the most part, but now it can come out.
That, in a way, I mean, that's where when I think of somebody as becoming very toxic in their brain and body, I do see this metaphorically as gunk building up that doesn't allow for neurotransmission and neuronal communication to happen. So one of the things with efficient detoxification we do see is that nerves are now able to communicate better, which will show up exactly. I mean, his ability to express himself has gotten better, and to express what he wants, what he needs, and so many things. I mean, I was also surprised. Like, you know, he would indicate what he needed to eat, what he wanted to do. Sleep also became better. Constipation resolved.
Absolutely.
So, and we have to, and again, you have to heal the body to heal the mind.
Yeah.
So that, thank you so much for coming. Any questions, any comments, you know, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. And in closing, what I would like to say is that, and with Karen and your family, it wasn't that we were saying that we're going to cure autism. I don't know, miracles can happen, right? But my goal is to enhance the physiological, psychological, emotional, mental, spiritual functioning of the individual that I'm working with. We look to remove the barriers to efficient functioning. And really that's what we do. And we do that not by using toxic, harmful medications or pharmaceutical products, but mostly by using diet, supplements, and very natural detoxification protocols, which are easy to do. And they don't really have side effects, really. So that's the. So I really want people to know that this is a very simple, easy way of turning your life around. And Ian was diagnosed when he was literally a toddler. But even after so many years, after 3 decades of having the disease, we are actually able to bring about beneficial changes and improvements. And imagine what we can do when we start off early. In any of these kinds of conditions, starting early is the key. But even at this stage in the game, we can still improve the functioning of the person at every level.
I can't even imagine what we would have seen if we had had this when he was 3.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
know, or 4, when those brain cells and neurons and so forth are really, that's their fastest growth.
Yes.
Usually.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is,
We
and
got it, and we're thankful.
thank you. Well, again, any comments or questions, feel free to drop them below, and I will respond to them as I see them. Thank you.